Hey guys, it's Rhiannon B again. It's been a while since I've done a recorded playthrough. Last recorded playthrough I did, I believe, was actually Resident Evil 3 Remake. And after that, I've pretty much just streaming on Twitch and then uploading the Twitch VODs to YouTube. Although I edit the VODs a little bit to make it a little bit more palatable for YouTube. But anyway, all I remember from last time is that someone's been either murdered or injured. And I think we're about to start a new chapter. And I thought it was chapter 3 where we're starting, but it kind of looks like we're starting chapter 2. So let's continue with the cat, and I can't remember her fucking name. Elegant. Elegant's her name. Talk to Elegant, I guess. Tarzan, can you move over a little and take a look? Excuse me, I have something to ask you. Very well, just be quick. Yeah, the guy in the back was injured, I remember, but I can't remember. Well, she just mentioned his name, but I already forgot it. What do you think happened this time? I think an acquaintance did this. Why? Only someone who knew Anzox well could predict his behavior and sabotage the ladder. So you say. What's the situation with the seam? Speak with the others first. I'm still figuring out if there are some clues. I need to concentrate to figure this out. Who has gone upstairs today, both morning and afternoon? Do you not remember that? I'm just trying to confirm it. Today, Thrivey went upstairs first, then you. Vincel went upstairs during the darts game. Then everyone was resting in the hall during the afternoon. Ah. Anzox's name is also on the list of your room. Care to explain? It may be coincidence. Never mind. I may be tempted to burn that book. What if it is some sort of cursed notebook that kills everyone whose name is written in it and crossed out? Oh, okay. Fourth wall breaking here. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, I believe this game is originally Chinese. And the English translation, I don't know if it's still in alpha phase, but you definitely may see some grammatical errors in this. Oh, and it's a Danganronpa ripoff. I never expected that you believe in curses. I'm done. Go about your business. I crouched down to talk to Tarzan, who is lying under the ladder. Oh wait, it was this guy that was hit? I thought it was a different dragon. The one with the loot. Is it alright if I ask you something? Not unless I want to open my mouth wide enough to answer. Well, I think you also don't speak Draconic. What can you tell me about the ladder to the attic? Other than the fact that it's currently on top of me? Well, it's heavy. If it dropped on someone your size, they might die. Then why did you install this in the tavern? Normally, I'm the only one living in the attic. I don't operate the ladder when there are guests nearby, so I didn't expect it to hit someone. By the way, when Anzox came to the tavern, he usually slept with me in the attic. Slept with him? Okay. Not to be rude, but could you hurry up? My head's getting sore. I guess that's it. I guess I have to talk to other people? Shoot. I don't freaking remember how this works. So I'll go down here. Vincel and Giannis are sitting at either end of the long table. Vincel is leaning back over the back of the chair, and Giannis is bent over the table. The meat stew is still hot, and steam is still getting out from the pot cover. Mr. Vincel, I wonder if it is convenient for you to answer me some questions. Of course, my good detective. Ask your questions. Can you remember what happened before and after dinner? Technically, it's not even after dinner yet. Well, Heron suggested we pray before the meal. Then he said that he forgot his rosary and wanted to go upstairs to fetch it. Anzox was near to the stairs, so he went to go fetch it. Then we heard the sound. I see. Assumption about the incident. What do you think happened this time? Hope it's just an accident. It would be terrible if anything happens again, especially on Christmas. And if there's a killer among us, I can't exactly say I can relax. Why can't they just surrender instead of playing hide and seek? Ain't like attempted murder will result in a death sentence. Would you just wait patiently at the docks after you get in a fight with someone? Damn straight. What do you think about Anzox? Nothing special, just a bard. Nothing special? He hangs around in a bunch of taverns and only stays for a few days, so it's not like he has much time to make friends or enemies. I doubt anyone's willing to lend him money, though he never asked. Anyhow, I don't understand why anyone would want to kill him. What was with you objecting to a prayer before dinner? Everything was fine without it. If there wasn't so much drama for today. By the way, wasn't it the first mealtime prayer we had this whole time? Yeah. Well, I talked to both of them. Okay, so we did the hall. What is lunar solar? I don't remember. Ah, the rich people. I kind of remember them. Marquis Solar, I wonder if I could ask you a few questions. Why, of course. Have you ever noticed anything odd during the day? Oh yeah, are they like French or something? I could smell the scent of orange blossom, jasmine, and vanilla on Solar. It was like she'd just come from the southern parts of the kingdom. I didn't notice anything bizarre. I watched you lot play with darts before noon. Then in the afternoon I was taking a nap. I tried to stop my nose from sniffing too hard. I do apologize if that was of little help. It's okay, it's fine. So, Marquis, can you recall what had happened today? Oui, if I recall, after the sun rose, Sarzan called everyone to go downstairs. I had just awoken, so I went downstairs together with Solar. Sarzan advised us not to disturb you. So you stayed asleep until we had finished le petit déjeuner. That means lunch. And later you came downstairs somnolent. So I was the only one who hadn't eaten for the whole day. There were approximately 3 or 4 people who went down. I was taking a nap in the afternoon, so I know nothing of that. And le dîner, I haven't had it yet. That made me even hungrier. To conclude, Heron didn't bring his rosary, so Anzox went upstairs to assist him. Then the unfortunate incident occurred. Thank you for your cooperation. Oh yeah, I forgot. You can like search the rooms and stuff. I was approaching the nightstand when Lunit came and stood between me and it. Something I can help with you, Monsieur Roma? So much for checking that. May I check the drawer? There's no article in the drawer in relation to this crime, I presume? Lunic's lips curved in a faint smile. As a Marquis, I possess the privilege to refuse any unjustifiable search. Whatever. I forgot to search downstairs. Right here. What do you think happened this time? I'm not familiar with Anzox, but I'm not surprised someone finds him to be annoying based on how he behaves while we share this room. Why? He plays his lute at night while in his bed. Well, I understand some nobles will hire musicians to play music while they sleep. I don't think that's quite my preference. What can you tell me about Anzox's injuries? His scales partially deflect the blow, so the actual wound isn't deep. It still bled heavily, though, and it's still a head injury. When do you think he'll wake up? Best case scenario, a few days. That's assuming that there isn't significant trauma to the brain or internal bleeding. I thought something had happened to him, but I couldn't remember. I'd be lucky to wake up at all if that thing hit me. If it weren't for his scales, or if it had struck him in his neck, he likely wouldn't have survived. I'm pretty sure the last place anyone unconscious would want to be is here. That's unsettling. That's all I need. Anzox's bed. He sleeps here almost every stay at the White Star Tavern. Now he's lying on it too. Ivy's medicine box, heavy. Ivy's bed used to be one of Sarzen's, but now loaned to Thrivey to sleep on. I have no idea why there's a smell of herbs in the bed. Oh, that's right. There's different areas of the room. I forgot. Candle. A candle. Neither the worst nor the best. Tarzan's keys hanging on the bedside. The keys would be here if there are any unoccupied rooms. But only Tarzan has a cellar key, and it's not on the keychain. Yeah, I'm not gonna remember any of this. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Tarzan's bed. There were originally two, but one of them was given to Thrivey for now. Okay. Peter's door was tightly locked, and intermittent sobbing came from the door. Peter? I knocked on the door, but no reply. Are you okay? The crying grew louder. I think it's better not to disturb him. Okay. Douche. The religious hyena. By the way, don't you always carry your rosary with you? Most of the time, but I left it at my bedside this time. Unlucky. Can you remember what happened before the dinner? Before the dinner, I proposed we pray before the meal to glorify God. Then Anzox went upstairs to get my rosary, which I had forgotten. Unfortunately, something bad happened in the end. Maybe it was the punishment of God for my laziness. That's not right. Hey? This isn't divine judgment, it's murder. If God wants to punish someone, it should only be the murderer. As for finding out who the murderer was, it is my responsibility. Suddenly, I think you are even a little handsome. Huh? Just a little? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you've been handling Anzox recently. Really? For example, pouring drinks for you this morning. Just a few times. Heron tapped his fingers a few times. Isn't it normal to help someone get something just to be nice to others? Search his room. I'm so confused. Aaron didn't stop me from approaching the nightstand. I didn't hesitate. Aaron's Bible's in the drawer and a rosary is on the nightstand. Anzox was hit when he came to fetch the rosary. Then why is the rosary still... I took the rosary and cupped it close to my nose, sniffing deeply. It's this smell. Now I remember. After a while, I've compared it with the smell of the scene. Your rope. That's the same thing. Right. Still snowing. There's nothing left here to scrutinize. I should go somewhere else. Okay. Fine. This is the evidence from my last case in a notebook I kept notes in. Check notes. Or December 20th, 1285. Oh, yeah, yeah. By the way, guys, I can't read Chinese characters. I'm sorry. Yeah, I get it. I guess they forgot to translate this. Case note added to clue. Well, that was useful. Oh, I can finally search? They wouldn't let me search it before. The ladder is now on Tarzan's head, with Anzox's blood soaked on it. A ladder like this could knock even Anzox into a coma. Why is he still under it, though? Can he not lift it? I'm very confused. Tarzan's muscular back. When he isn't so busy, he could untie the belt on his wings and flap his wings. That's the reason his wings are still strong. Or so strong. Still strong. Tarzan's strong arms. Okay. Are we just gonna talk about his arms? Okay, that's the same. Neck. You alright? Is the ladder too heavy for you? No! Just finish this quickly. Anzox's wound is on the back of his head. Won't do this on Tarzan, though. I took some notes here. But, like... I'm confused. Why does it say autopsy when it seems like they're both alive? And why isn't he getting up? Unless he doesn't want to disturb the crime scene? I don't know. I'm very, very confused. I think he should have nothing else to click on. That I haven't already. I guess I can go back now. Fully. The wooden handle is now broken. Most of the remains of the wooden handle were tangled in rope and swayed in the air. Wooden handle looks like it bent and then broke. The color is very new. The cross section of the wooden handle has many sharp wooden splinters, and it seems that several of them broke. The ladder was suspended from the attic ceiling by a rope and lifted along the guardrails. Hemp rope was usually wrapped around the wooden handle on the left-hand side of the second floor, suspending the ladder. When I arrived at the scene, the bottom of the ladder was pressed against Anzok's head. But isn't Anzok's now upstairs? And why is Sarzin just chilling there? I am confused. No, is that it? I've searched everywhere else. Time to focus on the crime scene from now on. Oh, now you can do the frickin' sniff thing. I forgot. I took a deep breath, trying to sniff out the murderer. Although it doesn't work all the time, it saves me a lot of trouble. Scent of blood is too strong. I can't connect the scents with these people. Might as well pay more attention to the scents. Trying to sniff. I closed my eyes and breathed in and out through my nose. I can't remember what you're supposed to do. Different races and different things smell different. When they interact with each other, they leave their unique scents on each other. If I close my eyes and sniff carefully, I can locate the position of every odor, then restore them to the scene. The more similar interaction methods, places, types are, the more similar the scent is. I click on stuff? I don't remember what you... The handle's cracked and Anzok's and the murderer both touched it. The smell makes me nervous. The rope. No special sense on the rope, okay. Ladder smells of blood. Smells like sweat and silver. What does that mean? Scent grows thicker at the bottom. Ah. Sarzin lies here with a totally different scent. It's hard enough to simulate position, but way too hard to simulate the scent. So he's there to help with the crime scene? I'm so confused. Luckily, Anzok's scent still lingers. I'm trying to click on the blood. I guess it only... Okay, then I guess not. Then what about this? This smells like something at the crime scene. What smells like the rosary? Well, the ladder smells like the wooden handle? The handle smells a bit like the rosary, just a bit. Let me put it this way, the base scent differs. What smells like the rosary? Then the ladder. The ladder smells just like the rosary. This usually means they have contacted a lot. But why? That should do it. The evidence I have is enough. This time to find out the truth. Okay. After a thorough search, I asked everyone to come to the attic for trial. If Anzox wakes up during the process, maybe I can solve the case more quickly. This time, Anzox won't jump in with some strange theory to influence my conclusions when I have no idea. Although that was one of my wishes, I didn't want it to happen this way at all. I sat on the edge of Anzox's bed, waiting for everyone to gather in the attic. Elegant climbed up lightly, so light that I didn't even notice her. This place, it may become problematic if we try to fit everyone up here. Let Anzox listen to the process, though I don't know if he can hear it. It would be fortuitous if he woke up at an opportune moment. Giannis's footsteps thumped heavily on the ladder. Can't we just discuss it in the hall? Maybe we could talk while eating. I don't think he can focus on the case while smelling the stew. Everyone came upstairs to the attic, which made the already small room become even more crowded. The wooden floor under our feet seemed to settle a little, and a sharp frictional creaking was produced when everyone moved. I started to think it was a bad idea to put 11 people in the attic. Peter sat next to Sarzin and bowed his head without saying a word, as if her was trying to curl up beside him. Lunik took Solar's hand and looked at me. Just like before, let's try to keep things as simple and clear as possible. No overcomplicating things. If this really was just an accident, then there's no need to assume there's a murderer amongst us. So was Anzox's injury an accident, or was it deliberately set up? Trial start. Is it possible he was unable to operate the ladder and accidentally broke the handle? Impossible! Hold it. Why are you so sure? He sleeps in the attic every time he comes here. Nothing ever happened to him when he went up or down. It's quite impossible for him to make such a mistake. Well, you have known him for a long time, after all. I'll add that to my notes. But who would want to kill Anzox? I don't remember if he's got any enemies. Besides, most of us here have only known him for merely a day. Is that all somebody needs to kill? Let's put motive aside. I can't figure it out either. Is that so? I want to find out those who were able to commit this crime first. Is it possible that the handle was stressed already and it was about to break anyway? If so, Anzox is just unlucky enough to trigger it. Impossible! Why? The handle is strong enough to bear the weight of the ladder. That's right. I have investigated this handle thoroughly. Why was the handle not likely to break soon? What are these noises? What the hell is this? Tarzan was right. If the load was too great, then the handle would have shown damage before now. The cracks in the handle are new and there's no sign of age in the wood. So I don't think it was accidental. Indeed it was, Robin. By the way, I felt strange when I retrieved my rosary. It was neither in Anzox's hands, nor pressed under him, but on his back. Why didn't you tell me something that important earlier? I just remembered it. In short, it seems that there are a lot of details that cannot be explained right now. Let's rule out whoever couldn't have tampered with the ladder. The first people we can exclude are... Those that stayed downstairs? Anyone who hasn't been upstairs today. So the main suspects are now Thrivey, Vincel, and myself. First, let's ask them one by one. How do you ask yourself? I'll just confess when it's my turn. Very well, you first, please. We'll go in order. Thrivey, what were you doing when the accident happened? I was... Thrivey gestured with both hands in the air. Waiting for Heron to finish praying. Ah? Didn't everyone do this at the time of the incident? What did you do upstairs this morning? Let me think. I went upstairs to the attic to get the book on my bedside. When I went downstairs, I tried to pull the ladder up but failed. So I went downstairs to call Roman for help. Damn, that makes me seem suspicious. I need to do something to direct suspicion to the real murderer. Something smells fishy. Maybe I'll press harder for further information. Which point to ask? Why did you fail to put away the ladder? You do realize the ladder weighs more than I do, right? How can I... The book on the bed? The one with the cover you can't read? Although I think it has nothing to do with the case. Why did you call me to help lift the ladder at that time? I happened to meet you on my way down. In other words, if you happened to meet someone else, you would have asked them to help you? That's correct. Please add what you just mentioned to your testimony. Very well. Please testify again. I went upstairs to the attic to get the book on my bedside, the thick one. I was so light that I couldn't move it. I saw Roman at the entrance of the stairs when I went downstairs, and then I asked him to help. So he just happened to meet me, and I didn't know in advance that I had a chance to. Are you sure? Why were you standing at the staircase if you didn't want to go upstairs? I did intend to go up, but I didn't intend to break the ladder. On the contrary, I can prove that I had no chance to tamper with the ladder. What is the reason I couldn't have sabotaged the ladder? I didn't have time. I didn't go upstairs. The ladder was broken. See these? I'm like, I never remember the details. Or to me, the details are kind of vague. I didn't have time. I just stayed upstairs for a while, which meant I didn't have enough time to sabotage the ladder. If I remember correctly, Thriving Vincel stayed upstairs only for a short time. This point is not convincing. Master Vincel, would you care to testify? Vincel tightened his gloves and adjusted his tie. Of course. I didn't stay long upstairs, so I had no chance to do anything to the ladder. I even didn't notice the ladder. Not to think about it, if I had observed the ladder at that time carefully, I might have found a trace left by Mr. Detective. Please don't speculate when you testify. Besides, Anzox and I don't know each other. Why would I harm him? And it was not I who asked for the rosary. Something smells fishy. Maybe I'll press harder for further information. What to ask? How long did you stay upstairs? Probably from the time throwing darts was proposed to the time the dart game was ready to start. You didn't notice the ladder, really? Yeah, the ladder was not in the corridor like it is now. How could I notice it? You implied that I'm the murderer. What do you want to do? Don't target me because of this, Mr. Detective. Avenged personal wrongs in the name of public interest is a violation of the law. You and Anzox really haven't met each other before? Why would I lie? The taverns I frequent aren't quite as low. Vincel glanced at the annoyed Sarzan who beside him and shut his mouth. Why did you just mention the rosary? Was that strange? This whole mess happened because Heron was going upstairs to get the rosary. Add what you mentioned to your testimony. Absolutely. Please testify again. I was upstairs from the time the dart game was proposed until the darts were ready. But I didn't have that much time to fiddle with the ladder. The ladder was stored in the attic and I didn't notice it at all. Come to think about it, if I had observed the ladder at that time carefully, I might have found a trace left by Mr. Detective. Strike that last sentence. I haven't met the Red Dragon before, and here he was, just a brief acquaintance. I have no motivation to murder him. It was Heron who mentioned the rosary, and it was none of my business. All the suspects have been questioned now. There seems to be nothing wrong. But after hearing their testimonies, I want to add another suspect. Have we not confirmed that the rest have not gone upstairs? Unnecessary suspects should be ruled out. Sean wasn't on the list at first yesterday, but eventually. So who are you talking about? I would say... As the owner of the rosary, do you have anything to explain? Is there anything to explain? For example, did you go upstairs during the day? Why was the rosary not with you? Why did you pray before meals today? And tell me anything you think was strange. Okay. I have been downstairs all day, and I believe everyone can testify to that. I left my rosary in my room, so I had to go upstairs temporarily today. What's wrong with praying before meals? Speaking of something strange, the door in my room was locked. Does that count? Something smells fishy. Maybe I'll press harder for further information. What should I ask? Did you go upstairs today even once? Oh. I don't need the log. Everyone saw me, of course not. Regarding the rosary, I would like to ask a question. Why did you leave the rosary in the room? I thought it was usually carried with you. I usually put it on the nightstand because I'm afraid that I accidentally soil it. Why did you pray before the meal today? Seems strange. I have prayed before every meal. Is that a problem? Why was your door being locked? Why was your door being locked is strange. Don't you know I never locked the door? What? I believe in God physically and mentally, and I believe that God can protect me from all calamities. So the door was unlocked when you left today? Absolutely. That was. Let me write it down. Please add what you mentioned to your testimony. I shall. Please testify again. I haven't gone upstairs today, and everyone here can testify to that. I usually put the rosary on the nightstand because I'm afraid of accidentally soiling it. That was why I had to go upstairs and pick it up. To pick it up. I have prayed before every meal. It's common, though I didn't do so openly out of respect for Sarsen. I didn't lock my door, but I found that my door was locked after the accident today. I really don't understand why. There's something obviously wrong. The sniffing result. The rosary should have been on Anzac's back at the time when the radar hit him. So the rosary should have been there at the moment of the accident. Why? I smelled a similar scent on both. So is there any contradiction with my testimony? No. Okay, so wait. So, Giannis. Seriously? It was Giannis's? Did you just say you pray before meals every day? Yes, is there something wrong with that? But that was the first time since you got here that you prayed before a meal. Therefore, maybe I remembered it wrong. But what does that have to do with the case? Although I'm not sure whether this is related to the case, I hope you can recall why today you suddenly remember praying before meals. Very well. Usually whenever there's a chance, I pray before meals. In the past few days, to respect the sensibilities of the tavern's owner, I did not mention praying before meals. Today's Christmas, and I thought that it would make sense to have a short pre-meal prayer on this particular holiday. Besides, there are others who asked me to do so. Ask for what? What do you mean by it's normal? That means when I was in the monastery. What do you mean by out of respect for Sarsen? It seems that he's not so passionate about faith. So you didn't forget to pray these days, but rather you dared not? Maybe you can say that. Aaron looked to the side and his voice grew quiet. Christmas prayers should be normal. Yes. So were you the first one who thought about praying? I was about to say... Wait, did anyone else want you to do this? Yes. Why didn't you say so earlier? How should I know? Is it important? Not really. Of course, it's very likely that whoever posted is the criminal. That was not me, it was... Lahaina just wanted to make us believe that he initiated the prayer, but now he was stunned. It was Vincel! What? Wait a minute, didn't you propose to pray before the meal? I'm trying to remember who said it. Who proposed to pray before the meal? Vincel said the prayer before the meal was Heron's own proposal. It wasn't me, that's what he said, so he'd get acquitted and frame me. I turned to look at the links. Do you have anything to say, Vincel? I indeed reminded Heron to pray. But why do you think that means that I would murder someone? If I wanted to kill Anzox, why didn't I just let Anzox go upstairs and help me pick something up? Why would I bother to remind Heron to remember to pray before the meal? What if he went upstairs by himself? Impossible! Anyone who has been in the tavern these days will find out. You can use Heron to get to Anzox. Why? How could he use Heron to get Anzox into the trap? There's something about Anzox. His original testimony? In the past few days, Heron was often called on Anzox and asked him to do things for him, like pouring him drinks and taking a spoon. So it was natural for him to get the rosary upstairs. Because the murderer took advantage of Anzox's tendency to help Heron and used it to set up a trigger for the trap. And who among us do you think is most familiar with traps, alibis, and crimes of these sorts? You, my good detective. And is it not true that the tomcat over there is also suspicious? Elegant flexed her paws quietly. Her claws sliding out. Therefore, if the murderer used a trap to kill someone, I assume only Roman can do it? That's true. I do know these things because of my profession. But I'm sure everyone in this room, and even Anzox, can come up with one or two simple traps like that. Ah. Only 3 things are needed to make the trap in this case. The wooden handle, the rosary, and the key to Heron's room. Let's start with the wooden handle. Wooden handle. Worn by the rope? The handle was broken downwards. After breaking the handle, the suspect inserted the handle back into the slot. Is there any evidence to support your theory? Pure speculation. It's not because... What can prove that the suspect inserted the handle back in? Because the splinters were broken. After the suspect broke the handle, he inserted it back in the direction of the splinters and pressed it tightly. This way, the friction between the splinters could cause the handle to get stuck there. If he properly adjusted the handle, it would support the wooden ladder. But when someone wanted to lower the ladder and start to untie the rope, the handle would come loose and the ladder would fall unexpectedly from overhead. In the process of reinserting the handle back in and loosening it, it is inevitable to break a few splinters. The suspect should have done just that. That sounds reasonable, but it still brings us no closer to identifying the suspect. Then there is the rosary. When we found Anzox, the rosary was on his back, and he was knocked down by a ladder that suddenly fell. That shows that. Where was the rosary? That shows that the rosary was left on Anzox after he was knocked down. That doesn't make sense. The scene was watched. Sarzan blocked the staircase so no one could get through. That is true. Where was the rosary? What was it? Was in his room, wasn't it? Rosary was in my room. What? Ah, that's wrong. I'm sorry. Where was the rosary? Is that my room? No, let's see his room. Okay. Then it was this one? It was in Heron's room. So why did Anzox not open the door, but move the ladder? Because the door was locked. He wanted to go to the attic to get the key. But the attic only has the keys to the empty rooms. Besides, why was the rosary with Anzox? According to your reasoning, the rosary should still be in Heron's room. Let me think again. Where was the rosary? Rosary was on the ladder? If Anzox saw that he was looking for on the ladder, it was natural for him to lower the ladder. And the ladder fell on Anzox, and the rosary hanging on the ladder would fall on his back. But why did Anzox check the ladder? If he were looking for the rosary, he would definitely not look there. He would only find it in Heron's room. Because Heron's room was locked, Anzox couldn't open the door, and when he turned to go downstairs to ask Heron for the key, he saw the rosary hanging on the ladder. This is... what? This is, like, weird. This is a little over the top. He would naturally reach out to pull the twine wrapped around the handle, trying to lower the ladder to get the rosary. That just triggered the trap set up by the criminal. Next is Heron's key. Thanks to Heron's testimony, we now know that his room is generally unlocked. His key was on the nightstand, and he hadn't moved it. According to Sarzan, there were 2 keys in each room to the tavern. Then the second key was on the key holder in the attic. They were wrong. The keys would be given to the guests during their stay, and the key holder would be empty. The second key could only be on the keychain the tavern keeper carries with him. By the way, it seems like my keys disappeared for a while this morning. At first I thought I was confused, but now it seems that maybe the murderer took my keychain? When did you find out the keychain was missing? I put it on the counter, then went down to the cellar. When I returned, it was gone. When did you rediscover it? After playing around with darts, I found it on the counter. In this case, there is enough time for the murderer to bring the keychain upstairs, lock the door, and then return. In other words, the killer should be someone who approached the counter while Sarzan entered the cellar and went upstairs while the keychain was lost. When the key reappeared, the killer should also be near the counter. Please click the moving icon for answering. Oh, that's right. Weapon is... the weapon would be the ladder, wouldn't it? The weapon is the ladder. Anzox was hit by the ladder. The wound can support the assumption. Besides, the murderer could hardly perform his trick in front of everyone else. Modus operandi. Let's talk about how this happened. Deductive reasoning. Arrange the occurrences chronologically from top to bottom by dragging Chip to each position. The suspect took the rosary away? But that... okay. That one threw me off a little bit. Jeez. I can't do the motive yet? I guess not. I guess I have to do suspect. I think the murderer is. Well, judging by what y'all are saying, this is huge. It's Vincel! Why are you always against me? I'm not taking it personally. I've got vital proof that you are the murderer. What? What evidence do you have? I went upstairs right before you, and the handle was in perfect shape. Who else could it be? His motive. When it comes to the motivation, can it just be like what happened between Sean and Kane? They knew each other before and separated because of conflict? I think it's impossible. Firstly, they rarely communicated today. I don't think they would keep their countenance if they met before. Secondly, if Anzox owned Vincel... owned... should be owed Vincel something, and Vincel wanted to murder him, Anzox should at least take precautions. In a nutshell, I think Vincel's real motivation is... got the goods on him. Maybe he was targeting someone else? Maybe his target wasn't Anzox, but someone else. Well, obviously we can't find the motivation from Anzox. I overestimated our famous Detective Roman. Wait, what are you talking about? My target is very definitive from the very beginning. It is Anzox. Wait, pardon? My only target is I didn't expect that you will admit it so quickly. Vincel clenched his fist and let out an angry gurgle in his throat. Okay, I lose. It was me hurt Anzox. I have to admit that you are so gentleman that you pled your guilty when you pled your guilty. Okay. I have to admit that you were so gentleman when you pled your guilty. I guess I think it should have been gentlemanly. I think. Then would you like to tell us your motivation? Anyway, you have already confessed your crime. No, thanks. Okay, though I am curiosity. I guess we have to continue. Done. Although the motivation is not clear at all, not that the Lynx has pleaded guilty, let's start to summarize the case. In other words, oh god. Vincel has started to set his trap in the morning. In the morning, Sarazin explained the situation to us and suggested that everyone try to stay together in the hall and only leave the room one at a time. While this would avoid incidents between two people, it also gave Vincel the chance he needed. Utilizing a rule that only one person could go upstairs at a time, he had enough time to set the trap without worrying about being caught. It was suspicious to let Anzox go upstairs to trigger the mechanism directly. Fortunately, Vincel knew that someone could order Anzox around. Namely, Heron. Vincel took something from the counter while Sarazin was busy in the cellar. That was the tavern keychain. He took the keys that Sarazin had removed from his waist and left on the counter. Then he went upstairs to open the door, took the rosary from Heron's room, and hung it from the ladder. Vincel made a mistake. He didn't know that Heron never locked his door, so when he came out, he locked the door like everyone else. He broke the handle of the ladder, inserted it back in place, and went downstairs. Until dinner, no one went upstairs to trigger the trap, and Vincel's plot was more than half successful. At dinner, once Vincel reminded Heron to pray for dinner, Heron asked Anzox to go upstairs. Anzox went upstairs and found that the door was locked and looked around. Seeing the rosary hanging on the ladder, he naturally reached out to undo the twine around the handle. The rope came loose on the handle and the ladder fell down the guideway, hitting Anzox. What is your plot, Vincel? Am I right? Lynx kept his eyes wide open and pulled the gloves back and forth, his sweat dripping down from the ends of the fur. All right, you win. So what do you intend to do with me? We will bring you to justice, of course. Sarazin picked up a length of twine, caught Vincel from behind, and tied his hands. Just hurting someone isn't a capital crime. Don't you know that? Shut up. Ow, not so hard. Be gentle with my wrists. You are no longer a guest now. You're a dangerous criminal who endangered the safety of my guests. Why should I treat you gently? Vincel glared at me, trying to get rid of the rope that bound his hands behind him. Untie me, you wretched son of a... Sarazin grabbed Vincel around his chest and hoisted him easily into the air. Vincel screamed silently, baring all of his teeth as the breath whooshed out of his lungs. I just cleaned up the cellar this morning. Perfect place for a bastard like you to spend a Merry Christmas. Vince stretched his neck and bent down, trying to sink his teeth into Sarazin's arm. Sarazin turned around and pressed Vincel's head aside. Don't force me to gag you! Vincel was still trying vainly to bite Sarazin as he reached out to a pile of clutter and junk. Here, let me give you a hand. No, you don't want to touch it. Is that the smelly cleaning cloth in the kitchen? Sarazin grabbed something on top of the pile of clutter and sniffed and stuffed it into Vincel's mouth. Vincel's eyes went wide and began to shake his head, trying to spit it out. From its color and texture, it looks like Vincel had one of Sarazin's unwashed socks in his mouth. He's right. I don't want to touch that. I can smell it from here. Oh god, an achievement biohazard. Tarzan slung Vincel over his shoulder and walked past us. Solar covered her nose with a handkerchief. I started feeling sorry for Vincel. Having something like that in his mouth, unable to escape the smell, must be torturing him right now. The others left the attic after Tarzan and Vincel. I sat on Unzux's bed, clutching his unconscious tail in my hand. Something is wrong. What? I believe I took the physical examination part seriously. No, the motive. Motive? But he refused to explain his actions. That's a bit strange, but the thing is he also admitted to committing the crime. What's in it for him if the murderer isn't him? Sure, some merchants would betray their own mothers if they stood to gain a profit, but I can't think of any compensation that can make Vincel plead guilty on Christmas. No, there's just something that bothers me. I will think about it. Garvey exhaled and relaxed. If there's nothing else to do in the attic, let's go downstairs. I've been waiting for that Christmas feast. Speaking of which... Mr. Detective? Are you okay? What just happened? You just suddenly fell backwards. Fortunately, you were on the bed, otherwise it would have hurt. I'm fine. You must be starving. Can you still go downstairs? Go enjoy your stew. Maybe. I'll try. I slowly stood up with Elegant's support, dragging my weak legs down the stairs. The aroma of stew seemed to linger in the corridor, although I knew that it was just pure imagination. The stew must be stone cold after such a long time. Even the tallow in the broth would form a creamy layer of fat on the surface. The scent seems to become stronger, but there's no sign of stew on the table. You came at just the right time. Tarzan brought a pot of steaming stew from the kitchen. The others weren't in the mood for stew and returned to their rooms after having bread and cold meat. I was worrying that no one would eat my stew. Gimme, gimme, gimme! Just a second. Tarzan poured 2 bowls of stew and then ladled a large portion into my bowl with almost all meat and surprisingly little broth. Actually, have all you want. I can't finish this. Actually, I prefer broth more. Thanks. I bowed my head and devoured my stew. After being warmed up, the meat was almost torn apart by the heat. The muscle fibers were slightly separated and the fibers on the outer edge were almost peeled off. Broth was also much thicker than usual. But I was too hungry to be picky. I just wanted to fill my stomach quickly. After 3 bowls of stew, I stopped eating, licked my lips, and looked around. Elegant was still slowly lapping the broth with her tongue. The spoon on the table was left unused. Tarzan didn't seem to be very satisfied with his work. He ate half a bowl and put it down with a sigh. Excuse me, I need to take some up to the 2 in the attic while it's still hot. Please enjoy yourselves. I also need to repair the ladder later. Tarzan reached into his pocket and put a dagger in my hand. Here, I found this on Vincel. Keep an eye on it. Tarzan went upstairs with a bowl of stew in each hand. I began to wonder how he would climb up the ladder. You say you were on vacation, and yet you came across cases one after another. You are quite a workaholic. Don't act like I'm enjoying this. I think you... Robin, let's talk. What? In private. Giannis glanced at Elegant, who's still sitting next to me. Enjoy yourselves. I think I shall return to my room. Elegant walked upstairs, but I felt she would be eavesdropping upstairs. I hate to do this, but could you pay me back some of the money I lent you? What? I didn't exactly plan to stay here this long. Now my money is running out. Right, I still got some of my payment from my last case. Is 1 riyal okay? Maybe a little more? I know, I usually don't push this hard, but 1.5. Take it or leave it. Alright, can you break it down into 105 set for me? Giannis took the large handful of copper coins from me and stuffed them into his pocket. Really sorry for asking you to pay me back in this situation. It's okay, everyone has difficulties sometimes. I waved my hand and went upstairs. I did not expect you to be so wealthy. Are you trying to make a joke? How should I know? Elegant shrugged and turned back to her room. I guess I should get some sleep. Considering I just had 3 bowls of stew, I should sleep well. I took up my boots, crawled under the quilt, pulled the sheets up over my stomach, and tried to fall asleep. Whoa, you really brought some booze here. Of course I did. I don't care how fine that stuff is. Set it aside for now. After all, we have more important matters to tend to first. A drink first won't hurt. Well, if you insist. Cheers. Sorry. I thought you would fail me. Do you really think I'm as weak as I look? I just thought I'm not good enough for you. Impossible. Come on, let me feel your temperature. Just my temperature? Don't you want to feel more than just that? All in due time, my darling. Okay, now we're on to chapter 3. So I think this is a good time to go ahead and end this episode. Next time we will be going into chapter 3. And go ahead and save here. And I hope you guys enjoyed. And I will see you next time for chapter 3. Bye, everyone.